inflation squeezed Americans are defaulting on their credit card and auto loans at levels not seen since before the financial crisis, as interest rates rise and the moratorium on student loan debt expires. Credit cards and loan defaults hit 10-year highs as inflation squeezes families. Now listen, I can't be the only one who's seeing everything cost more these days, and that's what this article is covering today. Inflation squeezed Americans are defaulting on their credit card and auto loans at levels not seen since before the financial crisis. And the struggle to pay their bills is poised to get worse as interest rates rise and the moratorium on student loan debt expires. There is nothing at all good about this story today. And if you're just tuning in, my name is Christopher Yule, and we cover the biggest headlines of the day and what the AI trading data says about that. And if you're interested in that too, be sure to definitely hit the subscribe button down below and start trading with AI today. Go to ovtlyr.com to see why outliers win. So back to the story, right? This year, credit card delinquencies are hitting 3.8%, while 3.6% have defaulted on their car loans. Both figures are the highest in more than 10 years. So let's talk about what's going on out there, right? I can't be the only one who's seeing this because everything costs more these days. In fact, my wife, she uses a grocery delivery app for us. And there was a time not too long ago where I saw her just doom scrolling on Facebook, and I said, "What's going on?" And she looked at me and she's like, "Somebody's posting what things cost before COVID and after COVID for the exact same item." And so she was showing me, and it just made me sick to my stomach, right? Every single thing cost. There was not one item on that list that didn't cost more. And some of the items cost twice as much. I mean, we're talking like bread, lunch meat, milk, all the staples, everything you can imagine. Every single thing cost more. Some of the stuff, I believe, is like 6-ounce Oscar Mayer lunch meat or something like that. Literally double for the same brand, same size, or as we've seen, shrinkflation as well, where things are smaller packaging. Instead of maybe 6 ounces, maybe it's 4 ounces and costs more. We have a huge breakdown out there, and households, they're really struggling these days. It's not that they don't want to pay their credit cards. It's not that they don't want to pay for their autos. It's that there's no money left over to pay the credit cards. There's no money left over to pay for their auto notes, right? And speaking of auto notes, you go back a couple years, back to the time during market adjustments, right? Everybody got used to market adjustments on autos for a hot minute. And now those auto loans are so underwater, right? Imagine you took out a loan. I heard the story of this lady. She got a Tahoe and she spent like $72,000 on a Tahoe, something outrageous, right? And I remember watching this video and she's like, month 3 of not paying my Tahoe bill and they still haven't come to get it yet. It's only a matter of time, but I know they're coming at one point, right? And it's because people paid, 5, 10, 15, 20, maybe 50% more to get into their car today. And now because of the cost of living on everything costing so much more, they can't afford to pay those auto notes. And so they're just living paycheck to paycheck, and that paycheck, all of it's going to the essentials and none of it is being left over for their auto loan payments. So nothing's being left over for their credit cards, and they are stretched beyond belief. And this is absolutely part of the inflationary market that we're living in, and a lot to do with the Fed's fault. Increase in delinquencies and defaults is systemic of the tough decisions that these households are having to make right now, whether to pay their credit card bills or pay their rent and their groceries. The story goes on to say that interest rates on credit cards could soar even higher as the Fed continues more rate hikes to try and bring inflation down to its 2% target, where it's at 3.5. Now, 3.5 sounds a hell of a lot better than 9% a year ago, but let's not get too excited about this. 3.5 still means that it was 9% a year ago. Now we're adding 3.5% on top of that. So we're going to use round numbers here. It's 14% higher for prices than it was a year ago. But keep in mind, they don't include food or energy or rent or anything actually useful in those calculations there, right? They don't actually care about what the public is thinking. They just want to put out numbers that are working. Because when they get to that 2% target, you better believe they're going to say, inflation's gone, everything's fixed. But then we've had the 9% raise and the 3% raise. And then we finally get to the 2% raise, which was their target. We're so freaking screwed, right? That's not fixing anything. We need to see real disinflation / deflation to get those prices back to what people can actually afford, right? Vulnerable individuals are already squeezed by high rents and grocery prices, and they need to start making student loan payments next month after their debts were paused for more than 3 years. I saw something that said the average student loan payment that has been paused is between $100 and $300. $100 or $300, that's 1 to 3 weeks of groceries for these people. And now you're going to say, listen, we know you're struggling already. Things are screwing you over already, but we're going to make sure that we screw you over just that bit more. So even though you were able to afford groceries every week, we're going to just like lop one of those weeks off, and you're going to have to start paying your student loan right now, right? Things are so bad right now. The Fed's looking at this and said this is the whole purpose of raising rates, to make things more difficult. And Jerome Powell, he literally came out and said one day, there will be pain. We want to see unemployment going up. We want to see interest rates going up. We want to see pain out there, because the pain is what's going to cause the prices to come back down, in theory. Now, in reality, everybody's hurting right there. And it's not just you. It's not just me. In fact, retailers like Macy's, Kohl's, and Nordstrom also have called out rising delinquency rates among their customers who have private label store cards, right? So it's not just your Capital Ones. It's not just your Chase Banks or whoever else that you're swiping. It's the retailers who are selling you these goods, if you're even able to buy them these days, right? Because Foot Locker says they have blamed disappointing financial results on consumer softness. I'm not going out and buying a $160 pair of Chucks or a $160 pair of Jordans, right? Man, I used to buy so many Chuck Taylor shoes for like 35, 40 bucks. They were my thing. And I loved them because they went with everything. They were stylish. And then when they started going up to 60, 70, 80 bucks for the same shoe, I'm like, what? This is not an $80 shoe, right? And you go and look at the Nikes, and we're talking 160, 200 bucks for a pair of running around shoes. Everybody's hurting these days. I don't know what's going to fix it, but I do know one thing. Hit that like button to let the YouTube algorithm know that this kind of video, this kind of information needs to be shared to more people. So let's take a look at what the AI trading data is saying about these companies, right? Let's take a look at Capital One. So Capital One is one of the biggest issuers of credit cards out there and auto loans. And you can see actually it got a buy signal recently on September 19th. So just about a week ago. And I wouldn't be too surprised if the AI data is taking a look at this and saying, you know what, there are some opportunities. As rates are going up, these financial institutions are going to be making more money. And because they're going to be making more money, that could be a buy signal for that. In fact, the whole XLF, the whole financial sector as a whole, has a buy signal. In fact, this signal has given us a 109.5% return. Capital One's given us a 57% return. And so if you're interested in getting this information, go to OVTLYR to see why outliers win. And then let's go take a look at what people are saying about this, right? So according to the report by Moody's, new delinquencies for credit cards and auto loans have now exceeded the levels seen before the COVID-19 pandemic. Maybe it's rent, food, and gas. Not everyone's making six figures. With inflation, 6 figures is what you need just to get by. Yeah, there's a lot of people hurting out there these days. So we want to make sure that what we can do, every little bit counts these days. So head over to outlier.com and to learn why outliers win. Hey, if you like this video, YouTube thinks you're going to love one of these two videos. Thank you for tuning in today's Outlier Live. We'll see you on the next episode.